All right, week 9 is just about in the books. Welcome to First and Pod. Andrew Fillipponi, Patrick Peterson, Spencer Ray producing. We'll go through all the games played here on Sunday, starting with the one that just wrapped up in Minnesota. Vikings snap a 2-game losing streak.
Yep.
Joe Flacco loses his first game after being named the Colts starting quarterback now that Anthony Richardson has been sent to the bench. And the only touchdown for Indianapolis came in this game on a pickup, scoop, and score by Kenny Moore. And so I will just cut everybody off here at the pass, Pat, and say, as a Joe Flacco apologist, that he did not play well, but I already saw it on social media, and I honestly saw a lot of it in the space that we're in, people that talk about the NFL. There was a lot of disagreement with this decision to go to Flacco. And so those people feel vindicated by how this game went. I saw things on Twitter like at least Anthony Richardson's more interesting, more entertaining, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
When you start, let me just say this. You haven't been watching Minnesota's defense this year if you're going to say Joe Flacco stinks and they should be playing Anthony Richardson if you're just basing it off this game. I know you've got things to say about this, but while you do it, I'm going to have Spence pull up what Brock Purdy did against Minnesota in Minnesota this year and what CJ Stroud did. Exactly. Okay. This blitzing defense, if you don't see it a lot, it gives guys hell. And I should have known better and bet Minnesota to win this game. I did not. I bet the Colts because I did fall in love with Flacco. I did.
You should consulted with me first.
Yeah, you're right. I should have. Yeah, I consult with you every Thursday. That should be in that hour. There should be enough consultation where your thoughts are seeping in and influencing my picks. But no, I'm not reacting to this from the Colts way of looking at it and thinking they blew it with Anthony Richardson because of the way that Joe Flacco played in this game tonight, Pat.
No, I'm with you as well. They did not blow it with benching Anthony Richardson at this stage because you got to look at it. They are in contentions of possibly winning their division at the stage that they was in. And what Anthony Richardson was providing us was not winning football. Like it just was not winning football, completing whatever his percentage was. His percentage in the first half was 2 of something. That's just bizarre.
It was 2 of 13 or 2 of 15 at one point last week.
It was ridiculous. That is not winning football. Their defense is playing good enough that's going to be able to keep them in games. They just need a quarterback that's going to put the ball in positions in the right people's hands and making the right decisions when that decision is called upon. And Joe Flacco is the guy because he's a Super Bowl champion. He's won numerous playoff games. And he's a seasoned veteran. And at this, I just feel like he gives your team the best opportunity to win right now. And to your point, going up against a Brian Flores defense is like trying to solve a jigsaw. It's like it's impossible, right? These guys, whatever quarterback that is facing a Brian Flores defense, they're going to be seeing ghosts. They're going to be seeing things that they haven't seen on film because this is a guy that is going to continue to send pressure at you time after time again. And Chris Collinsworth said something that was very, very interesting to me. When you have a guy that's looking for the home run play on the defense, you have to be able to combat that with home run plays on the offense. And the Colts didn't have anybody that can win one-on-one outside. And I think that is what someone need in the offense when they're going up against a Brian Flores defense. Someone that can win consistently one-on-one outside to be able to get him out of those pressure defenses.
Man, at that point, I wasn't sure you were going to bring that up because now I'm thinking as you say it, I mean, that's what they paid Michael Pittman Jr. to do.
Right.
Okay, come on now. I mean, if that's what you're observing, I mean, they committed to that guy because they think he is one of the 10 or 15 best wide receivers in the NFL. San Francisco scored 17 there. Houston scored 7. And Stroud had 2 interceptions, and Purdy threw for over 300 yards, but only had 1 touchdown pass, 1 interception, and multiple turnovers. Rodgers had 3 interceptions and had 2 interceptions in the first quarter, and that had never happened in his career. So
Right.
that's what that's what they do now. Detroit,
And on top of that, you got to think about it. The coach never even visit the red zone this whole game. And the defense, so Minnesota Vikings defense won this game by far.
yeah,
The Joe Flacco and the Indianapolis Colts never even visit the red zone, and he turned over the ball once and getting sacked. We didn't even watch the last bit of the game. He probably got sacked more times, but he got sacked
he got
three
sacked
times.
3 times on the last drive.
Exactly. So there's the Brian Flores and his defense, Minnesota defense, won this game by far, and what they're able to present to quarterbacks week in and week out. This is not a Joe Flacco thing. This is a Brian Flores is continuing to confuse seasoned and good quality quarterbacks in the NFL, hands down.
Well, they got Flacco's going to have his work cut out for him though, because their next 3 games are the Bills, at the Jets, and the Lions.
Right.
So I still think he gives them a better chance to win. We didn't see it. Minnesota's offense, they moved the ball the entire game. They beat themselves with sloppy plays, and the kicker missed some kicks, Pat. But other than turnovers, they looked like the offense that helped get them to 5-0. The final score doesn't say that, 21 points, but they moved the ball up and down the field. Their issue, as I see it, is Darisaw. We didn't touch on this yet. Him getting hurt in that last game.
Yeah.
That's one of the best left tackles in the NFL. They had to bring Cam Robinson in from Jacksonville, and he had barely practiced and looked like he was not ready to play.
Yeah.
That might be an issue for them, big picture, that they're now playing a guy who's at best league average left tackle when they had one of the best guys in the entire NFL there before the injury.
Yeah, that's going to be a big issue for Minnesota moving forward, because like Kevin O'Connor talked about in his halftime interview with Melissa is we just got a tackle that got here a couple of days ago. So we know there's going to be some things in the pass protection that we're going to have to button up to be able to protect for Sam to be able to deliver the ball downfield. But yeah, that left tackle is going to be getting a lot of work in the upcoming games coming forward.
But if they block with Jones, with Jefferson, with Addison, with Hawkinson, with Naylor, they got weapons. They got dudes to go up and down the field with teams. Let's start now the Week 9 games played in the day. The NFC North tussle between the Lions and Packers in the rain at Lambeau. Jordan Love played, and it didn't matter. Detroit wins. They have a convincing win. This is 7-1 in their best start since 1956. Before they even played, the decade before they even played the first Super Bowl. What did we learn about the Lions today, Pat?
Well, the Lions just proved to me last week. Me and my cousin B Mac, we started this on our All Things Covered our power rankings, and he was shocked that I had the Detroit Lions ranked the #1 team. So all they did was prove to me that they are the #1 team in the league, behind Jared Goff and his offensive line. The defense is continuously getting better week in and week out, and their defense right now is just playing lights out, and that is winning football. And that's why the Detroit Lions, with Dan Campbell as their head coach, regardless what happened last year, this team is not worried about what happened last year. These guys are laser focused on getting back where they was last year, not dwelling on and not being being all in their feelings. Like, we should have won that game. We made bad decisions. Like we're going to talk about this later. Like the Chicago Bears, they put on the performance when they continue to dwell on what happened in the past. But back to the Detroit Lions, this team is well equipped to battle anybody. This was their first game in the elements and outside, and they performed phenomenal. So the Detroit Lions did nothing but prove me right that they are the best team in the NFL today.
They lost the defensive player who at the time of his injury in Dallas was the odds makers pick to win defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good of a start Hutchinson had gotten off to. And you're saying that they could have had a hangover from the San Francisco debacle in the NFC Championship game. How about you just lose your best defensive player and trying to pick up the pieces and regroup after that? I mean, that could not have been easy. That he was by far their best defensive player. Most of their household names on the offensive side of the ball. That's how they got to the championship game last year. It wasn't because of their defense. So to lose that guy, and you brought up this was their first outdoor game, they held Green Bay to 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
I said to you, I actually thought Malik Willis would give Green Bay a better chance, not knowing that it was going to rain, because the run game would possibly keep Detroit on the sideline, and it would cut down the possessions in this game, and it would keep it closer, and it would be more of a conservative approach. And I'm not saying that I was, I told you so about that. But Jordan Love just, again, in bad weather, threw an interception and really did not have a great game. So they befuddled him. I got to give them credit for what they did to him defensively, but they live by the sword, die by the sword when Love's in there. They take chances, they risk it, and sometimes they don't get that biscuit, Pat.
I agree. And I played with a coach in Bruce Arians that always, on Wednesday, when he opened up his meeting, it was always talking about we got 6 bullets, and I'd be damned if we leave the stadium without it, right? So going back to Jordan Love, off the costly mistakes that he had in that game, he has to understand the defense that he had, right?
Yep,
his defense is playing unbelievable right now. So why would you want to continue to put them in bad situation? Why would you want to continue to put the team in bad situation when everything pretty much you're touching the ball 100% of the time, when the offense is on the field, and your decision making weighs on the team. So therefore, you have to understand what your decision making, how it weighs on the team. You have to play to the strength of your team. Yeah, we all know that you have a big arm. We all know that you can put the ball wherever. But times in the game is not cause for that. Like, you're putting your team in bad situation that's causing your team to lose. The last 2 weeks, they got lucky on the last minute field goals, which they probably should have lost those games because of his turnovers. So he has to understand, as a young quarterback in this league, like, you don't have to make those hero plays all the time. Like, there's going to be time and moments for that, but you don't have to do that every single time, especially the caliber of defense that you have. Like, just relax, take what the defense is going to. I say take the Tom Brady method. Take what the defense is going to give you. Don't turn the ball over. Long as your team is in it in the fourth quarter, to where now the most important decision is on you.
Well, I think if you would have told Green Bay and Matt LaFleur and their defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley before the game that Detroit was only going to score 24, they would have said we're going to win the game.
Right.
And that's to your point. I mean, the defense, even with that great Goff stat, I think Green Bay probably felt like they put forth a winning effort defensively today, but Love's got to figure out exactly what you just said about their philosophy and his personality moving forward here.
Because at the end of the day, we know we have a great offensive play caller, right? But we can't cost ourselves on giving the other team extra possessions, which is limiting our possessions. So we can't continue to do that moving forward if we want to be a championship caliber team. All right, moving forward, we got the Broncos and the Ravens. Milestone for Derrick Henry. Is he a top 10 running back of all time?
Okay, so the milestones are he's already over 1,000 yards on the season. And he got to double-digit touchdowns again in the season, I think for the 9th time, if I'm not mistaken. So here are, just off the top of my head, here are the list of running backs all time I would put ahead of him. Okay? Walter Payton.
Talk to him. Okay.
Walter Payton.
And why?
Because Walter Payton was an MVP in the 70s and was the best running back for the entire decade of the 80s. And when he retired, was the NFL's all-time leading rusher.
Okay. Keep going.
Well,
I'm just asking.
no, yeah. Hey, I like when you keep me honest here. Walter Payton, Jim Brown.
Okay.
Jim Brown, I think every year he played in the NFL, he led the league in rushing. Case closed. Dude retired early to go act. Won championships, one in Cleveland. I mean, he's one of the GOATs. There's two.
Hey, opponent, real quick. Me and Jim Brown have something in common, man. And I'm so honored to even be in the same conversation as him. But me and Jim Brown and Barry Sanders are the only players to make it to the Pro Bowl in the before the 8 Pro Bowls before the age of 28.
Dude, are you serious?
Yeah. Dead serious.
God.
Spence, look it up.
Yeah, he just said, what a flex. You know what? I would introduce myself that way. If I did that, I think you've been incredibly humble about that accomplishment.
I have been.
Yes. Walter Payton, Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith's he's the all-time leading rusher. I can't be disrespectful and say Derrick Henry's better than him, even though he had great blocking and was on those Dallas teams. There's 4. Adrian Peterson, 5. LaDainian Tomlinson, 6.
I like LT. I like your choices.
Eric Dickerson, 7. Marshall Faulk, 8. I have to say it. I mean, we're not talking about what he did in his personal life. Yep. OJ Simpson, 9.
Okay. But OJ, right, him and Barry had the shortest stint of their career, right? If I'm not mistaken. Out of the running backs,
OJ, Barry, and Jim Brown all had shorter careers, yes.
Right. So, and I didn't have an opportunity to watch OJ Simpson. So what made OJ so special? Like, I saw highlights, but
just
in your opinion,
just one man wrecking crew, and obviously not the same running style as Barry, but had good lines, but did not have an elite quarterback, did not have a great defense, did not have wide receiver threats. I mean, everybody in every game against him knew that all you needed to do to beat the Bills was stop OJ Simpson. We'll put 10 guys in the box if we have to do it. Who cares? Right. And they still couldn't do it consistently.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's for me why I would put him there. And I think, like, I say top 10 because I think that's now the place where Derrick Henry has entered the conversation. Guys that are Curtis Martin, Frank Gore, Jerome Bettis. These are guys that had big stats, but I would put Derrick Henry ahead of those guys.
I would too. And would you put Christian McCaffrey in that category? Like, where would he fall in? Not in the top 10, but far as the top 20, like
no,
with the Corona, with the Jerome Bot.
I would not even put him in the top 20.
Okay. I was just asking because he's one of the more dynamic running backs that we've ever seen.
No doubt.
So
no doubt.
I was just asking.
I mean, but for maybe like a 3 or 4 year period, like I would say, Chris Johnson had 2 or 3 incredible years.
He did.
And like he kind of gets forgotten. Shady McCoy had a great career for 8 or 9 years. These are guys that I think it's tough, man. I mean, it's hard to do a list like this because running backs have such short careers for the most part, and for any given 2 or 3 year period, they can be the best at what they do. Jamal Charles was an unbelievable running back who's not going to sniff the Hall of Fame. But you could say for a 2 or 3 year period, nobody was better than him.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So
no doubt about it. But so are you saying he is a top 10 running back of all time?
I have him 10. I have him 10 right now.
Because I was going to say, and I didn't have the privilege to watch all of those guys who you just named, like the Barrys, the Walters, the Jim Brown. Hell, you probably didn't even watch Jim Brown. But the Jim Browns, the Eric Dickerson, and the guys like that. But being able to see what he's been able to do for 2 different franchises and at the age that he's at right now, and for it to look like he's never missed a beat is unbelievable. He still looked like the same Derrick Henry from Alabama. And that's like remarkable. And now that he's with a dynamic quarterback, I believe that's just going to make him that much more better, because now teams don't only have to worry about Derrick Henry. And I know we all love to see what Derrick Henry is used to, far as in the I formation, trap runs, power tosses, things like that. But if they're able to figure out a running scheme with Lamar in the shotgun, then they're really going to be unstoppable. And I think that's
so you don't even think they've really found the sweet spot yet?
No, they didn't even scratch the surface yet, because if you look at their offense,
damn,
they are less potent when Henry takes the ball from Lamar Jackson out of the gun, right? Henry gets most of his runs, and when you see majority of his big run is when Lamar is under the gun. Lamar is not used to that. Like, he's getting used to that because who they have in the backfield. But think about if they're able to implement the both of them, how much more dynamic they will be.
Well, they've already run the ball to the point where they're averaging over 6 yards a carry, and they look like they're one of the greatest running attacks of all time. And
that's what I'm saying.
So still a level to get to, dude.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Look at the runs that Derrick Henry has broken, and watch what Lamar Jackson is. I guarantee he's up under the center. If they're able to get that read option, what they really want that offense to be.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's scaring me as a Steelers fan. But hey, Deontay Johnson, what a debut. 0 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards, 0
in the win
for him. Yeah, they did win. They did win 41-10. Cowboys and Falcons. Dallas, third straight loss.
Yep.
Dak injures his hamstring. Cooper Rush has to come in. But there he had Jerry Jones afterwards saying, hey, I still believe in this team. He said, I still believe in this team. We're still going to figure it out. We're still going to do it this year. Is their season over?
Yes.
Are they done?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Pony, their season been over since they couldn't stop the run 4 or 5 weeks ago. Since they couldn't establish a run 4 or 5 weeks ago.
I mean, you said it before a lot of people said it, and it's not easy for ex-athletes to say this about other professional athletes, but you said on defense they looked soft.
They
saw it right from the beginning of the year.
And I hate saying that. I really do hate saying that, man, because I'm a defensive player, and I will hate for that label to be upon me. But yeah, they can't stop anybody. The offense is dependent on Dak to pass majority of the time. They don't have no running game.
Nope.
They don't have an opposite receiver of CeeDee Lamb. Like, they are doomed. I know it's America's team, and a lot of people had high hopes off of the win off Cleveland in week 1, but that was false hope. Like I tell people all the time, the first quarter is like a filling out process, right? Like that's still the preseason for most guys, because most guys not even playing in the preseason. That's just false hope. So I know a lot of people always have high hopes for the Dallas Cowboys, but they are still the same Dallas Cowboys, but worse. They have the talent is not there. The defensive structure is not there. They have no running game on the offense. And when you're dependent on Dak to make every single play, that's not a good recipe.
I can't wait to see if Jerry Jones sells his soul and hands the franchise over to Bill Belichick in the offseason.
It will be a new coach next year.
No doubt.
100%.
Let's see if he actually can cede power and control over to Bill, which that's the last thing Jerry wants to do.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll do it for a guy that's won 6 Super Bowls. We'll see.
Hey, at this stage of his life, he haven't won since 96. Yeah.
Oh, you think he will?
He has to. If he want to still. Cowboys are obviously irrelevant. But what is the missing piece to the Cowboys right now?
You think there's only one?
I think it is only one. You got to get a head coach in there that don't give a flying fuck what Jim Jones got going on. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, you just got to have a head coach that don't give a flying. I hate cursing, but you just got to have a head coach that don't have those principles, and he's just going to go in there and build a team the way he wants to build a team. Like, because at the end of the day, you're in the, I know Jerry's probably with the guys every single day, flying in on his helicopter, coming into practice and things of that nature.
Yep.
But as a head coach, you know how you want your team to be. You know how you want your team to be built, or the athletes that you feel that can make your offense go to certain levels, right? And when you have a guy like Jerry Jones stopping all of that, hey man, it's just tough for you to be successful. Bears and Cardinals. Chicago media is calling for Matt Eberflus to be fired. Do you think that's the right decision right now?
Well, it's not if you go by what their record is and where they are. To have Caleb Williams, even though he came in with such big hopes and dreams, number 1 overall pick, you're a 500 football team at the halfway point. That's not the end of the world. I think if you had told me that before the season started, I would say that sounds reasonable. Here's the dilemma, though, is that you had the debacle of the way last week ended. They really no-showed this game today. I mean, it really was embarrassing.
It was.
They played like a team that has given up on their coach as far as the trust in their coach, the trust in the game plan and things.
Yep.
That was just evident. So that's strike one against the guy. The other big issue, though, is because he's a defensive coach and he did not have a great track record there before the season, there's going to be the sense there that he's not the right guy to get the most out of Caleb Williams. And that, to me, is the bigger issue. You see what Jaden Daniels is doing. Not that Williams has played poorly. Before the bye week, he had a great stretch there where he had 7 touchdowns in 3 games, and they won all 3. Now, they were against crappy teams, but at least the guy was making plays, and they were lighting up the scoreboard. So it's not like it can't be done, but the issue is if they had brought in a guy who was a Ben Johnson or a Bobby Slowick or one of these big offensive coordinators, people would be willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and give it time. They're not, because he's a defensive coach who has not won anything there. And now the optics of what happened today, they looked like they mailed in the game, Pat, is what it seemed like.
Yeah. And with my experience going back to the players' interviews,
we talked about that on Thursday.
I'm telling you, they were still dwelling on that loss. Like, as a captain, as an older guy that's played in this league for a very long time, we got to tell guys, like, we can't live in the past. Like, yeah, we may have our thoughts. We may have our suggestions on how we thought this game should have went or what coach should have done. But I feel like they carry that baggage from Washington into this game.
Yep.
And to your point, it was a no-show. Like, the defense got pummeled. Like a running back. Who's the running back number 31?
DeMarcado.
Yeah, DeMarcado, man, he's looked like a damn Speedy Gonzalez out there on that 75-yard run in the third quarter. It just, when you see things like that, that just goes to show me as a former player that guys are still living in the past on what happened in the week prior. They're not locked in the situation or in the moment right now, because when have you seen the Chicago Bears give up a 75-yard run? They're a top 10 defense in this league, right?
Talent-wise, they are. On paper, they are.
Exactly. So you've never seen them give up that type of play. But to our point last week, you had players still talking about the coach's decision, what happened in the Washington game. Like, that stuff is behind us. We have to focus on the task that's in front of us right now. So, yeah, we lost that game. We can't do nothing about it. We had players doing certain things. We feel like coach should have made a better decision, which I thought you should have those conversations in-house versus coming out and saying as a player, coaches, this, that, and the other. But I just feel like last week carry over into this week, And that's why it was a no-show for the Bears today.
And let's see if it carries over past this. Dolphins and Bills. This was a very exciting game.
It was.
That ended on a 61-yard field goal by Tyler Bass after he had missed an extra point earlier in the game.
Yep.
Should the Dolphins should they view this as a moral victory?
No, absolutely not. There's no more victories in the NFL. And because the Miami Dolphins have given up a game-winning drive 2 weeks in a row.
2 in a row.
Last week to the Arizona and this week to the Buffalo Bills. So you've been in position to win games. You have to learn how to finish games now. So in the NFL, and you're a 2-16. So there's no more victories. I could see if you was 5-1 or a 5-2 team, possibly you can say, all right, guys, yeah, this was a more victory to us because we did such and such well. With the Dolphins, they're 2-6 now. Ain't no such thing as a more victory because now they're fighting to be above 500 because this was a team, I know they've been battling injuries. This was a team as well who we had high hopes for in the AFC East to battle with the Buffalo Bills because that's a 2-horse race right now. So to your point, to answer your question, absolutely no. This should be a more victory for the Miami Dolphins.
So Tua only has 1 win against the Bills in his career, and that ain't gonna fly.
No.
Obviously, big picture for him for his career. You can't get beat by Buffalo every time you play them.
Mm-hmm.
There are no moral victories for players. There are no moral victories for coaches. There are for fans and people like me that are just media and fans. My thought, if I'm a Dolphins fan, though, my thought is a month ago, I thought my quarterback might never play again.
Yeah.
That's what everybody was talking about. His career might be over. And then I had to go out and watch Tyler Huntley, Tim Boyle, and some other schlub, Skylar Thompson play quarterback, and it was unwatchable.
Yeah.
The games were so bad. Thank God I get paid to do this. It doesn't feel like a job. Watching the Dolphins games would have felt tedious enough where I wanted hazard pay. I wanted extra compensation for it. That's how boring their games were.
So, Pony, can you tell the listeners and viewers, when we talked about the Dolphin game, what was my comment to that?
You said, I got nothing to say about it until Tua comes back, I think is what you said. So my point is, yes, you lost 2 games on the final whistle, and you should have won those games. And when the season started, you've been to the playoffs the last 2 years. It's time to win these playoff games.
Exactly.
But in my opinion, the goalposts moved when your quarterback was down on the turf and it looked like he might not play again. I would just be so thankful that I'm getting to watch him play and they look like a competent, functional football team again. You're saying no, fine. But I would have positive thoughts about my team.
Because I was a Dolphin fan. I was a Dolphin fan. Yeah. a diehard Dolphin fan. From the freaking Dan Marino's to the Jay Feely was our kicker. To the
I was just going to say, you missed the Dan Marino years. You had to watch Jay Fiedler and AJ Feely and
Jay Fiedler, Chad Pennington, all those guys. But I was a
Dante Culpepper.
Dante Culpepper on the 2 years that we had him. But yeah, there's no more victories because, to your point, like you said, they was on the ground a week ago. It was hard to watch. Well, not a week ago. A couple weeks ago, it was hard to watch them, and Tua's giving them hope. But the defense, you have been in position. Tua put the team in position to at least win the game or go into overtime. But your defense have let you down 2 weeks in a row, which you should have been at the time. What they was 2-3, so they should have been 2-4. So they should have been at least 4-4 right now.
And that's a different conversation if they're 500. I get that part, Pat.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear that you missed out on all the glory years of the Dolphins. If you were born in the 1950s, you would have had some great fun.
Yeah, I was 1990, man. I just missed them. So that was like when it was all going pume.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the Rams and the Seahawks. Rams, wild win. What was Seattle thinking in overtime? And
They
I called you, and I
You
knew
did.
you was on another show.
I
But
was on TV.
I cannot wait to hear your thoughts.
I was befuddled by it. I was baffled by it. It to me, here's what it did, and this is my opinion on it. When I think obviously football, a lot of it is emotional game, mental game. Yes, the physical is what really, people look at, but I think in game there are emotions to it and feelings around it. When you go for it on that fourth down, what shocked me about it is you have a defensive coach. I thought he was basically saying in that moment, I don't trust my defense to stop the Rams. If I don't score a touchdown here, we're not going to win the game.
Right.
So then you don't get it. And the defense has got to go out there now. And it's like, well, our coach just told us that he doesn't believe we're going to be able to get the job done. And sure enough,
they
it
did get the job
that
done.
way. And they gave up a 40-yard touchdown and they lost. Like, we've talked about this on earlier podcasts. I just don't understand why so many coaches don't want to take the points. And I get win probability percentages, and I get analytics and all that.
That's what that is what's getting them in trouble right there. Analytics. But go ahead.
But but the analytics said to go for it there. I hope not.
I believe so. When I was watching the game, they always put the analytic thing in the corner.
Yep.
And I believe it said go for it. But I'm like, yo, come on, man. This is overtime. You're already in position. And it was a long one. It wasn't like it was inches, right? I could see if it was inches, yeah, that's questionable. But it was almost like a 2-yard to get. You know what I mean? So at that point, being a defensive head coach, I'm kicking the field goal, and I'm going to put not the pressure on my defense. I'm going to put the pressure on the offense to put themselves in position to get a field goal. Because now, when you think about it, if a team already scored points on you, you're going to be like a 50-50 chance on trying to get in or trying to score. In that position, the Rams was in go mode. As soon as they went for it and didn't get it, Sean McVay, he ran the ball one time. I think I can't remember who they completed the pass to get him at the 40. Next play out of the timeout, they ran a play action, a corner route to number 15. I cannot remember his name. We ran and Woodley had horrible eyes on that. And
DeMarcus Robinson.
DeMarcus Robinson. We always talk about offenses condensing the sets. And I don't even know why he was even pressed in that situation, because for me as a defensive back, I would never want to press a receiver that's in a condensed set. Here's my reason why. Because 9 times out of 10, he's going to be running through traffic. So if he is running through traffic, I'm going to get rubbed. If I'm off, it's going to give me a better opportunity to run over everything and collect them on the opposite side. Then if what Woodley was doing, he was impressed. They was in the fire zone, I'm assuming, because they was in some type of fire zone man-to-man. He looked at this guy. He was in the press technique. He thought Robinson was going to run the under. So he got lazy with his eyes out of the gate. And I text my good friend, Josh Bynes, who is the pretty much the GA over there. I don't know what
quality control coach.
Yeah, quality control coach. I texted him right after the game. I said, Woodley, bro, he had bad eyes from the get-go because he thought the guy was going to be running over or under. So he kind of got lackadaisical, kind of came off a little bit, and then Robinson straightened it up right then and there. So what Tariq Woodley got to do is he had to understand his leverage. Like, if that guy's going under, yeah, we're going to let him go, but still get to your responsibility. Because if you go back and look at that play, as soon as the guy went under, he kind of like trailed behind him, kind of got lackadaisical, and that's when Robinson streaked back up the field, and that's when he kind of got in bad position, and that's when Robinson was able to get on the upfield shoulder of Woodley to complete that pass. But I text my guy, I said, man, he's too good of a player to allow that to happen. He has to be locked in.
Yeah, he just won. He won the Defensive Rookie of the Year, didn't he? Or he came close to it. He had all those interceptions 2 years ago.
And he did. And that's the thing that comes with success early. Like, especially with the young generation that's coming in right now. They think that success, just the early success is just, it's all athletic ability. But if you want to last in this game and last in this league, you have to be willing to be locked in, not only be locked in for 60 minutes. You have to be able to be willing to do the little things every single day. Like, there's no shortcuts. You got to be willing and be able to sacrifice to be able to do the little things every single day and really understand your opponent. Like, when you're stepping out there, like, I was a young guy before. Like, I was year 3, making Pro Bowls, all pros, 7 interceptions in my second year. But as I started getting older, I'm like, man, if I want to last in this game, like, I want to be able to take my game. If I want to be able to take my games to the next level, I got to be better with my body. I got to study film better. I got to be able to sacrifice what everybody else want to do after games, going, having a good time. It's good to have a good time, but you got to pick and choose when you want to have your good times, right? So, like, there's so much that goes into being a good NFL player, but some guys just be caught up into the glimpse. And not saying that Woodley is caught up in the glimpse and the glam and what comes with the game, but not willing to put in to help you be remembered in the game. That's the difference.
Yeah, Tom Brady said fun was for when he was having Super Bowl parades. That's when he did his partying, not before games. He definitely. I wish he called the game where the Stevenson from the Bears, was celebrating while the Hail Mary play was going on. Brady would have had a heart attack in the booth if he had watched that live. Commanders and Giants. Speaking of Washington, they're 7-2. It's their best start since '96. Is this all on Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, I think it's Jaden Daniels and Coach Quinn, because of what the defense is able to do and able to help Jaden with. And also Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's like the wild card in all of this. And going back to what we talked about early on in the season about these young quarterbacks and these organizations marrying a coordinator that's able to communicate with them, that's able to be on the same page with them, that's able to, feel and see the same things that they're seeing to make them comfortable in the NFL. And I think,
why is Kingsbury's offense a good fit for Daniels? You were around it. Why do you think it works for Daniels?
I just think with the Cliff Kingsbury offense, it gives Daniels that college feel. It gives him the exact same thing what he came from. So he's not coming into anything foreign. Like, he's coming into read options, RPOs, what they call them. Read options, finding your tight end across the middle, taking shots down the field, run the ball when you need. That's exactly what Jaden Daniels did when he was with in LSU. They tried to get him to do that when he was at ASU, Arizona State University. But Brian Kelly in the game was able to explore that even more. So I just think Cliff Kingsbury, with his offense, with his college-style play calling, it was just a perfect marriage for Jaden Daniels and him, and for the Washington Commanders to be able to start off as hot as they are. Like, he did not have to come into a system to where he had to learn a whole new playbook. I just feel like everything that he ran in college, Cliff Kingsbury made that appealing for him. And now he's calling that in the NFL for him. And that's why he's so successful right now.
I got to give a shout out to Terry McLaurin, who has been in offenses with some of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL for about 5 years. And now he's finally got a guy, and he's putting up numbers, and now he's getting recognized as one of the better. You can't throw yourself the ball when you play wide receiver.
Yeah.
You need a guy that can actually get it to you. And that's what sucks about that position. That's why these guys probably get so frustrated and get the diva mentality sometimes. But he's just been awesome for them this year. And dude that finally is getting the respect he deserves. He's a legit number one wide receiver now that he's got a quarterback that can get him the ball.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got the Jags and the Eagles. Philly almost blew a 22-point lead. Should they feel good about this win?
F no, they shouldn't. They should be embarrassed. Honestly, this is actually one of the few times I agree with these maniac fans there. If I was driving home from that game in Philly traffic, I would have been pissed off. Are you kidding me? Jacksonville had really no one to throw the ball to because of all the injuries there. Their running backs are all banged up. ETN played, but he did nothing because he was less than 100%. They just traded their tackle. We just mentioned to Minnesota. I mean, Doug Peterson went back there, and that should be proof, that they don't really have a long leash with guys that a guy won a Super Bowl and got fired there a couple of years later. They don't give a damn. But come on now. I mean, this game should have looked like the Broncos and Ravens or Raiders and Bengals, some of these blowouts today. You're up 22-0, and you need a linebacker to make an incredible interception in the end zone to seal this game late. No, I mean, that's sometimes when you've got super high expectations, wins can feel like losses. And that was for after the first quarter and a half, that was not championship caliber football by them whatsoever today.
Yeah, this win definitely should feel like a loss. Just because what it told me is when they're missing AJ Brown, the offense is stagnant.
Same thing. He got hurt in this game.
No doubt about it. And when he was not in the offense, previously, being out with injury, they was the same way. It's like they could not move the ball down the field. Their deep shot was kind of stagnant. Mind you, Smith made some incredible catches.
God, that touchdown catch was almost as good as the one on Thursday from Garrett Wilson.
No doubt about it.
And how about the jump spin move by Barkley?
I was gonna head to Barkley in a minute, but what Smith was able to do in the fourth quarter to help them win that game and help to give them a spark, and leading back to Saquon Barkley, that is who this team is going to need to lean upon moving forward, because Saquon is he is the best offensive player on their team. When he have the opportunity to have the ball in his hands, it's like a movie. The backwards hurdle today was never seen it before, and just what he was able to do in the running game, in the passing game, picking up blitzes. This guy right now is the unsung hero for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they should not feel good off this win, because this should have been a win last week when we was talking about should we put them in Super Bowl contentions, and we wanted to see them against quality opponents.
They would have lost to quality opponents today.
I was just about to say that they would have laid an egg today if they was playing a Detroit Lions or maybe even the Minnesota Vikings, maybe even the Washington, a team who they possibly will see in the playoffs. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. Yeah, I would not feel good after this win at all.
Chargers and Browns. Justin Herbert has his best game of the season. He had been mostly a game manager. They cut him loose today. Jameis turned back into Jameis and threw his 3 interceptions and did the 30-30. He did the bad 30.
Yeah, he did the bad 30.
Has Jim Harbaugh made Herbert a better quarterback? Are we seeing the Harbaugh effect on Herbert this season, Pat?
Do you know what the Harbaugh effect is?
Yes, I think.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you. Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman effect, because when they met up in San Francisco, their effect was they run to throw. And ever since Justin Herbert been in the league, it was to pass to run, right? So now they have an offense that have a quality run game that's able to open up the passing lanes behind those linebackers versus having Justin Herbert in a shotgun, having to progress routes or go through progressions through the defense each and every time, 30 to 45 times a game. Yeah. Now it's much more slowed down for him, to where now we got the running game going. Now we got the linebackers thinking about the running game. Now we're opening up the open areas right behind the linebackers. Now we got our screen game open. Now everybody, we got Dobbs going off. So now we got nine guys in the box. Now we can take our shots. So it's the Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh effect that's making Herbert a better quarterback on their system, their style. And also, if you think about it, wherever Jim Harbaugh's been, he's always packed a great defense. Whether he was in Stanford his last couple of years, whether he was when he got to San Francisco, when he was in Michigan, and now he's with the LA Chargers. He always find a way. And although he's an offensive guy, he is a quarterback by trade. He knows the recipe of winning football, and that's controlling the clock, and that's packing a good defense and a solid special teams. And that's why we're starting to see the Justin Herbert that we're seeing that's more efficient, that's not turning the ball over, that's putting the ball where it needs to be. It's because of Jim Harbaugh.
You know, it's funny because that's where Brady went to school. It looks like a New England team with Brady.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? They're playing great defense. They're able to run the ball when they want. And they don't have like big name wide receivers, but they're not putting their quarterback in third and long situations and asking him to play hero ball. It's the same formula.
Talking about the receivers, I almost missed my point. Justin Herbert is trusting those young receivers now. With Johnson, no doubt about it. With Johnson and McConkey were combining for 182 yards a day. Johnson for 118, and McConkey for 62 yards. So that is a huge step in the confidence building that Justin is providing in those young receivers right now. Panthers. Saints have lost 7 games in a row. What has happened to Derek Carr? I think Mike Thomas will tell us.
That's why I put this in there. Dude, did you see that? Oh my God. For those that didn't know, Mike Thomas went on social media and just lit up Derek Carr. Some of the worst player-on-player crime I've ever seen in my entire life. Blamed him for Olave getting hurt. That was a really scary situation. Thankfully, he went to the hospital and was moving around and stuff, and he left on a neck board, but it sounds like he's going to be okay, which is obviously, huge. But Michael Thomas can't stand Derek Carr. Yeah. And frankly,
evident.
I used to think that Derek Carr was like a poor man's Matthew Stafford, that he was just in the wrong situation. And if he got traded to a better team and the right players were around him, he would thrive. And when I saw Olave and when they had Thomas and Kamara, I thought last year things were going to go well for him. He looks like he's shot. He looks like he's pretty much cooked. And there's years and money on that deal. And the Saints are in salary cap hell. And their coach should probably be fired after losing this game to Carolina today.
And you said that last week too.
Yeah, okay, so here's the ultimate question for me with Derek Carr from a guy that game planned for him. Was he ever good? I mean, was he ever looked at? Yes. Was he ever looked at as a great quarterback?
I play a lot of golf with, Derek. So,
okay.
I don't want to, mess up my tee times, things like that. But Derek, for me, game planning for Derek Carr, like we knew we had opportunities as far as interceptions because we knew he was a gunslinger. We knew he trusts his arm strength to get the ball wherever it needed to go. So we knew we had chances.
Yeah. And if you didn't play golf with him, I'd love to know what some of your thoughts would be maybe at another time and place. But hey, those must be some pretty nice courses. And maybe you take some money off of Derek too. God knows he's made enough in his career. Raiders, Bengals, Patriots, Titans. Anything on these two games?
Raiders, Bengals, they definitely needed this win in the fashion for their first home win. going to what we're in heading into
9.
week 10.
Yep.
But we was in week 9. But yeah, so they needed this win in that fashion.
5 touchdowns from Burrow.
They needed that 5 touchdowns from Burrow against a leaky team, against the Las Vegas Raiders. So yeah, that was a big win for them. They needed that. And you already know what I'm about to say against this Patriots and Tennessee game. Ain't nobody care about that game.
Did you see the touchdown pass, though, from May at the end of regulation?
I did not. I'm not even going to lie to you, Pony.
So they scored on the very last play. He ran around. I mean, it honestly look, there were probably balls that were thrown in tighter windows downfield today that you'd say, like, on a degree of difficulty scale were better. But think about it. There's no time left on the clock. You need a touchdown to force overtime. And he ran around and avoided the sack. And while he was getting hit, he put it exactly where it needed to go to Stevenson for a touchdown to tie it. And honestly, to put him down 1, then they kicked the extra point to tie it. But I mean, I would have been tempted to go for 2 there. I think they probably didn't, though, because so much energy went into that last play. I think that's tough. I think fans and media underestimate that. You have this insane play to score a touchdown. Then you've got to regroup in 30 seconds, have the right 2-point play called and executed. Everyone says go for the win there. It's hard to get yourself composed again after a play like that. So I actually did not have as big of a problem with them kicking an extra point and playing for overtime, but it was a great play from Maine. He had 95 rushing yards today in that game, Pat, quarterback. Almost 100.
Hey, but to your point, being around Coach Tomlin, you got to be ready for all situations. I don't give a damn what just went on. Whatever the next players call, we got to be locked in for that. So I get what you're saying. If Coach Mayo if he felt like it was the right call to go for 2, the hell with that. Yeah, we scored a touchdown, but God damn it, we're about to go for the win right now. So let's lock in and everybody hone in on their situations, because we're trying to go for a win right now. And we need your undivided attention on this play.
But I do think if it's a guy making his 3rd start at quarterback compared to
we're in the big leagues, man.
Oh, hey man, I know that. But like, you got to also, part of being a great coach is knowing your own players' limitations and what they can and can't do.
And so for me, at that point, that's why I probably would have went for it. Because we're 2-6. We ain't gonna win our division, right? It's no chance that we're gonna win our division. So right now, I want to put my young quarterback in every situation possible, scenario possible, to where when that scenario comes up, he's seen it before. So there's, like, you haven't been in the practice before. There's been practices to where we can practice certain situations, certain scenarios.
Yep.
But it's nothing like going through it in a live moment. So that would have probably been the moment
for
him to go for it. No doubt about it. For him to go for it to build his confidence.
I like that side of the argument. And as it turned out, he ended up throwing a horrible interception in double coverage to lose the game anyways. So you're right. I mean, that's that counterpoint, I think, is persuasive. Like, all right, kid, now go win the game for us. And if you don't, whatever. We had confidence in you. We tried to do it. We didn't.
Exactly.
We're not a half game out of first place or anything like that. The whole point of this season right now is to see what you can and can't do. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, thanks to Spencer Ray. Thanks to Pat. I'm Andrew Fillipponi. We'll be back Thursday night. Bengals and Ravens.
Hey, wait, Pony.
Yep.
We didn't. I wore this for a reason. We didn't give a shout out to my former team, man. That's a big win today.
Oh, you got 3. So which one? So one was on the bye.
Yeah, Arizona.
And then your other 2 teams won. It was the weekend of Pat Pete.
Arizona, we talked about. Yeah, you're right. All my teams won today because one of them was on the bye. Arizona with a big win against, not a real big win, but a confidence win for their season, because this is the first time they won 3 games in a row, and God knows how long after the month of October. So this is huge for them. They're right in the conversations with the Los Angeles Rams. So the NFC West is right now is almost like a 2-horse race between the Rams and the Cardinals, because the 49ers are leaking right now. We don't know what they have going on with the injury reports and who's going to be in their starting lineup. So the Arizona Cardinals, I know I talked about this early on in the year. They are a scrappy defense with a lot of unknowns, except for Budda Baker. But these guys right now, it might be the team to watch out for in the NFC.
And if we're back here next Sunday and they get beat at home by the Jets, I think you're going to need the bottle. You're going to need some liquid therapy at that point if that happens. If A-Rod goes in there and beats them,
it might be Call of Duty.
Yeah. How about that, Spence? All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you Thursday night. Peace.